The Geneva Bible was completed on April the 10th, 1560, and we have noted a number of its distinguishing features. The translators were hopeful that the Geneva Bible would become the authorized Bible of the Church of England. In their 4-page dedication to Queen Elizabeth, the compilers of the Geneva Bible drew a comparison between Elizabeth and Zerubbabel, who led the Jews back to Jerusalem following the Babylonian captivity. As Zerubbabel had been chosen by God to rebuild the temple, so had Elizabeth been chosen by God to rebuild the Church of England. The editors of the Geneva Bible promised their support and prayers as she set about her task in the midst of both internal and external enemies. To aid her in the task of rebuilding the Church of England, they desired to contribute what they called their mite by presenting to her a new translation of the Word of God. The Scriptures were to be her guide in this work of rebuilding the Church of England. As Moses was instructed to erect the tabernacle according to the pattern that God had revealed to him in the Mount, so Queen Elizabeth was to be guided by the pattern of the Word of God. Despite this fulsome dedication, Queen Elizabeth refused to authorize the Geneva Bible for ecclesiastical use. In addition to Elizabeth's opposition, there were other church officials who were against it, especially Matthew Parker, Elizabeth's Archbishop of Canterbury. Why was there such opposition to the Geneva Bible? One could surmise that it could be accepted on its linguistic merits alone. It had an improved textual basis, and the translators were individuals of unquestionability. It was a decided improvement of the Great Bible that had been authorized some 20 years before by Henry VIII. Perhaps one of the reasons for Archbishop Parker's opposition was that he had remained neutral during the Marian persecution. He secretly remained in London, devoting himself to academic studies, while many of his fellow clergymen had been sent to the stake, and others, including the Geneva Bible translators, had gone into exile. In addition, Parker did not approve of their differences with the group in Frankfurt under Richard Cox, who desired the face of an English church. We note from Parker's career as Archbishop of Canterbury that he slavishly followed the commands of the Queen, while the acts of uniformity and supremacy guaranteed her almost unlimited control over the church. In addition, the Geneva translators were linked with the Puritan faction that desired a further reformation of the English church than what Elizabeth was willing to permit. However, it appears that the main reason for Elizabeth's refusal to authorize the Geneva Bible were the notes that the translators included to aid the reader understand the meaning of the text. Some have charged these notes with being too Calvinistic in nature, although they were not primarily there to teach a theological system. However, while the majority of them explained the meaning of the text, there were several that cut across the desire of Elizabeth to be a divine right ruler. The note in Exodus 2:20 commended the midwives who disobeyed Pharaoh's order to cast the newborn male children into the river. The note reads that while their disobedience was lawful, their dissembling or lying was wrong. However, the note that apparently caused the greatest offense was in 2 Chronicles 15:16, where King Asa removed the queen mother from her position because she practiced idolatry. The note reads as follows: "Herein he showed that he lacked zeal, for she ought to have died, both by the covenant and the law of God. But he gave place to foolish pity." There was little chance that a divine right ruler would approve a Bible that granted the people the right to disobey their superiors. We may never be able to determine all the reasons why Elizabeth refused to authorize the Geneva Bible. However, her actions revealed her decided opposition. She commissioned her bishops to revise the Great Bible of 1539. It was printed in 1568 and authorized as the Bible of the Church. This edition was known as the Bishop's Bible and would remain the ecclesiastical Bible until replaced by the King James Bible in 1611. However, there was no question that the Geneva Bible was more popular with the people. In the first years alone, 80 editions of the Geneva Bible were published in comparison with only 18 of the Bishop's Bible. Apart from the special features such as the quarto format, the use of Roman type, versification, and study notes, it was a more accurate translation than the Bishop's Bible. The first printing in England of the Geneva Bible was in 1575, and it continued to be printed steadily. Editions after 1576 contained a revision of the New Testament done by Lawrence Thompson, and the notes of Francis Junius replaced those in the Book of Revelation in 1599. The Geneva Bible was the first Bible to be published in Scotland. In 1579, the Basildine Bible was printed and dedicated to James VI. Laws were enacted that required every householder above a certain income to own a copy of the Bible and the Book of Psalms. James VI of Scotland was educated by the Geneva Bible, although he later would claim that he had never seen a copy of it until the time of the Hampton Court Conference in 1604, and considered it to be the worst of all English Bible translations. As an ironic note, even the bishops would often use the Geneva Bible in their sermons and publications. While Elizabeth adhered to her decision not to authorize the Bible for ecclesiastical use, the people purchased copies, read them, and were instructed in the Word of God. As one church historian has expressed it, new pieties were being formed, and something of the old sense of the sacred was transforming itself from the sacrament of the Eucharist to the proclamation of the Word of God through preaching.